All right, we're rolling.
Okay, this is an interview at the Buffalo Erie County Historical Society, Buffalo, New York. It was the 26th of October, 2006, approximately 10 a.m. Interviewers are Mike Russert and Wayne Clark. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
My full name is Alan Charles Volat. Date of birth, March 12, 1945. Birthplace, Washington, D.C.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
I went through elementary school. I went through high school. I went to night school for high school. And then I went into the service.
Mm-hmm. Your education was in Buffalo, what you said?
Always in Buffalo.
Okay. All right. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
Very interesting enlistment. Very interesting enlistment. I was, well, when I was young, the drinking age was 18 in New York State, and so it was also in Canada, and we used to go to Canada quite a bit, and whoever had a car, and I hooked up with a young lady in Canada, in Niagara on the Lake, and it was interesting. And I used to have, if I had the car, or a car, I had to get it home at a specific time. Thank God there was the Niagara section of the thruway off of the Lewiston-Queenston Bridge. And I was kind of late, you know, because fell asleep, things happen, you know, and I had to get the car home and get the back seat clean. I don't have to draw you any pictures. So I'm coming over the bridge, maybe like 3:45 in the morning. It was you know, dark, and the guys, you know, the border patrol, you know, what are you doing, kid? You know, because didn't shave that much. I was 19, and I said, I got to get the car home and cleaned up. He says, well, you better get going because, you know, daylight's coming, and that car, you know, before, you know, whoever sees it. So speed limit was, I think, 50 miles an hour. Well, I was doing 90 to get to the Grand Island Bridge. You know, I had to get this car back home. And a state trooper was planted and, you know, came after me. And I managed to elude him, turned off my headlights, you know, got off at an exit and drove without the lights on in a rural community and pulled on somebody's lawn. And I knew I was going to get stopped for DW. I get, you know, drunk driving, and I jumped out of the car with the window down because I didn't want the interior light to go on. And I pulled the keys out and I threw them on the seat, the bench seat, and I started to relieve myself because the adrenaline was, you know, and it was a warm, you know, I think it was August, late August, and the woman called the police, which was the state police, and said that there was a car on her lawn. She had a big, big house. And the same state trooper that was after me arrested me, okay? And took me to a justice of the peace, and this justice of the peace was affiliated with the mob, a Magadino relative. Okay, who was the justice of the peace? And the guy told me, next time you come before me, you better have a lawyer. You know, being, you know, a kid with no money, you know, what the hell am I gonna do? You know, I don't know, I don't have a lawyer. Never got into real trouble before, and, you know, it wasn't really my car. So I had a friend take me out to this justice, because he gave me 2 weeks, yeah, no, 3 weeks. Well, long and the short of it is, I went before the gentleman, and he said, "Where's your lawyer, kid?" I said, "I don't have a lawyer." He says, "You got any money?" I said, "No." I says, how bad can it be? He says, "How, you know," and the guy leans down, because this courtroom was in his basement, Justice of the Peace. And he leans over and he says, "You want to know how bad it's going to be?" He says, "I'm going to give you 3 years, escape and evasion." And he leans back, and he's got this seat that goes around, and he says, "But I'll make you a deal, kid." He says, "I'll give you 3 years, or you can go in the Army." I said, "I'll take the Army." So they took me in handcuffs to the Niagara Falls military establishment, not the Air Force side, but the Army side. And I was held in a little cubicle with handcuffs, and then they said, "You have to get your stuff, because we're taking you downtown to get you sworn in, and you're not coming back home." So I went home, and the guy took me to my home, and my mother was just about ready to go to work, and she sees, you know, me pull up, and she says, "What's going on? Where were you?" I said, "I can't tell you. I'm going in the Army now." She says, "You're not going in the Army. I don't want you to go in the Army." I says, "I gotta go in the Army." I didn't tell her that of all this was going on. So I grabbed my stuff, and she's screaming, and the guy's outside, but he wasn't a gentleman that took me that was in a uniform. He had a government card, just like you gentlemen, and he was going to take me down over on Main Street, near High, where you get sworn in. And my mother was screaming and yelling and throwing it, and I grabbed some money, because I had it hid. You know, some underwear, socks. I didn't know what the hell I was going to need. You know, toiletries. And I go off with this guy. And I get into High Street, you know, and I get sworn in, all right? And they put you alphabetically by numbers. Now, I had previously gotten a physical for the draft board. All right, but they had it all pulled, all right, and I got alphabetical, so I'm at the back end, and I knew, I was kind of leery about this judge, so I had been drinking, and, you know, I with all this adrenaline and being held up in this cubicle, I needed the bathroom really bad, so I raised my hand, and this, I don't know what rank he was at the time, I can't remember, yelling, "I need the bathroom." It's not a bathroom, you know, it's a head, it's a, you know, whatever it is, I'm going to have an accident standing here, you know, and there was, I think the number was 325 guys. You put your gym bag or AWOL bag on the number, and you stood there. Well, I went to the bathroom, and I took my time and figured, what the hell's going on? I come back, and there's 40 guys missing in the bag. And my gym bag's still there, on my number. I think I was like 313, what a wacky number, you know. Where the hell did the other guys go? So, a couple of guys are trying to tell me, but can't turn around because what had happened was the Marine Corps came in and they said they needed 20 volunteers. Nobody volunteered. So they took 3 from the front and the rest from the back. But the guys next to me, you know, I mean, going to the Marine Corps was like going to the French Foreign Legion, you know? Who wanted to go to the Marine Corps? You know, you didn't want to eat scenes of Iwo Jima. You didn't want that, you know. But thank God my bladder saved me. When I came back, they went to the next, you know, apparently the guy was yelling, and I did hear somebody yelling in the bathroom, take the next guy, you know. But where was this guy at 313? He was relieving himself. And that was a sign of faith, you know, because I didn't go in, maybe yes, maybe no, but we all got sworn in, and we went, and we were all taken by guards on a NFT bus to the train station, which is now, you know, and we were put on the train with, I guess these National Guard MPs or something like that, and that's how I left for Fort Dix. We took the milk run, you know, went to Rochester, Syracuse, and down to, and when we pulled into, I guess it was Grand Central Station, there were more MPs. And we got on another bus, and we went to Fort Dix. And I was assigned to, very lucky, a brand new area at Fort Dix where they had central heating, which was unheard of because they used to have, it used to like a double house. You had an upstairs and a down, and you had people watching a big pot-belly stove for fire watch, and they'd have different guys in this. We didn't have to do that. We had modern, quote at the time, modern facilities. So that was my induction to the service. But let me inject that when I had left, my mother, who wasn't the most stable person in the world, called the place down there and said I was mentally unstable, you know, this, that, and the other thing, and they had called me over, and I said to the gentleman that put me in a, you know, we don't need, they said to me, we don't need somebody that's not stable. You know, why did your mother make this statement? I said, my mother is not stable. My mother has been, she wouldn't, I mean, where would she know how to say this stuff? Because my mother had a background of having problems, and I convinced her, I said, please, you gotta get me away from her, you know. So he says, okay, I'm gonna take a chance on you, kid, you better be straight with me. I says, please, you gotta be, you know. I was being straight with the judge, I was being straight with you. But I didn't know what people, you know, I took, you know, faith in what people said, which was, all right. So that's how I got.
Okay. You had your basic at Dix?
I had my basic at Dix and my advanced infantry training. I got the video here showing. I bought a camera. I went to Philadelphia. Guys went to New York, I went to Philly, you know. They said it's a little cheaper. And that time, they didn't pay very much. So a bus ride to Philly was cheaper than a bus ride to New York City. And Philly had the same scumbags as they have in New York. Not saying that New York has a bunch of scumbags, but, you know, nickel and diming, it was better off in Philly. And I picked up a inexpensive, probably stolen 8mm camera, and I, you know, bought some film, and I figured out I'm going to be, you know, film it like This Is Your Life, because that show is, I guess, still on, or I don't know.
So you went through infantry advanced training?
Yeah, jungle warfare training. It was like if I could show you the video, it was snowing like a SOB out there, you know, and we did, you know, infantry maneuvers. We had a good time. I mean, it was guys working together, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, working with guys and with all different problems, and guys had a lot of problems. The military never really got into the psychological aspect of people's character, you know, and which now they do. Supposedly they advertise that they do, and then, you know, things were different.
So where did you go after your AIT? Right to Vietnam?
No. Did you ever buy, we ever sold a bill of goods that really weren't what they cracked up to be? All right. Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the end of advanced infantry training, everybody was sick, runny nose, you know, they were putting you back, and I was popping a thing called Dristan because I'm a kid with you know, sinus problems all my life, and I figured, oh gosh, this is terrible. They said, now you got to remember, the pay was like $42 for the month, because we were, you know, $42, you know. You buy a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich and a cup of coffee, you're almost broke for the month. So, you know, and I was never a big guy as far as buying beer. I was very good at drinking other people's beer, but not, you know, I was cheap. I was really frugal. And as my buddies used to call me, being Jewish, I was, I don't know, Max. So they saw us, they said, if you want to make some money and be in a higher level unit, go to paratrooper school. So I had never been on an airplane. So I figured, $55 more on the 35. I'm not a millionaire, but you know, it's still better than, you know, a sharp stick in the eye. So I signed up. Not too many guys signed up. You know, you're crazy. You know, you go to Vietnam. I said, well, you can go to Vietnam, because you know, that was the big thing. So I think maybe about 40 guys went to paratrooper school, and the rest of the guys went to Germany. Right. Oh my God, you know, made a mistake. And some guys went to Korea. So nobody went to Vietnam. All right, I'll go to wherever they send me. So they said, we're going to send you down south. We'll send you. You can't go home. So they put us on another train, and we pull into Atlanta. It was the longest, hottest train. And we pull into Atlanta, which I have here, and we get out of the train. Nobody tells us who's going to pick us up or where we have to go. We're standing there, you know, and we needed to relieve ourselves. And I was with a bunch of guys. Some of them were from Philly, some were from Buffalo, and some were black. Well, most were black. So we went into the bathroom, which I didn't realize, you know, it was black and white. And the cop comes out after I come out. He says, and he taps me with a nightstick. Now I'm shrinking now, but I was 5'10" and a half, and you know, 167 pounds, and you know, you don't put a stick to my face. He said, that's a black bathroom. So I said, what the hell's the difference? I didn't see any, you know, black porcelain. I peed in a white porcelain, and I washed my hands. And he said, what are you? He said, no, and he says, I do remember. He says, where are you from? I said, Buffalo, New York. You know, and I pushed the stick, because he had the stick right, and I pushed it towards him. And I said, I'm a white agitator. I work for Whirlpool. You know, you're a wise guy. You go over there. So I said, well, at least you told me where I'm going to pick up this vehicle, you know, that they're going to pick me up, you know, because I wasn't the first white soldier to, you know, be disoriented. But it really affected me that, you know, I was in the South, and I felt funny in the train watching from the green to going to red clay, and I kind of, you know, I had looked in Civil War things, and they had made a note that, you know, the northern guys, you know, were fighting in red clay and a lot of pines, and yeah, that's what it was. And I had come from a very integrated neighborhood on the Lower East Side, you know, when Humboldt Park was Humboldt Park. I used to play in the middle of, you know, which is now Expressway. You know, I played baseball there, you know. So, I didn't like it. But I went to paratroopers training, I passed, I felt great because I had so much difficulty in regular school from just learning how to read and all that. But here, I just was one of the guys, and I had no problem. But I do remember getting in the airplane for my first jump, and they had a sergeant there, and he says, how many of you got, now there must have been a stick of 40 or 45 guys. He says, I want you guys, you know, you're sitting down, he says, I want you guys to stand if you've never been in an airplane before. Everybody stood up. Nobody had ever been in a plane. So he turns to me, he says, why did you guys even attempt it? I says, you know, it's like going on a roller coaster, you know. It's free, you're paying for it, plus you're going to pay us. You know. So everybody made it, but everybody got orders from Vietnam. Everybody, including yours truly. And I got orders for the first Cav. And I figured, oh gosh, I knew about, you know, Custer's last stand, you know, and I knew about what had happened in Korea. And my uncle was in it. On my mother's side, my grandmother's brother was in the Philippines with the first Cav and Saipan and all that. And he was so screwed up. And my grandmother here in Buffalo was some sort of Democratic, I don't know, donut guy, because I remember as a little kid, they used to have these, on the corner, these election houses that they used to bring horses in. And they used to have a potbelly stove with a string of just 40 or 60 watt bulbs. Who knew what the bulbs were? But I used to have to go get the rolls and the cheese and the coffee for these people. And I do remember my grandmother running 7 or 8 of these voting booths, okay? And she used to take the bus. You know, she was given tokens, and I used to go with her because I was the popo. So I got orders, and there was a kid by the name of Murphy. His father was a big shot doctor. He had a plane, and he got permission to land at Fort Benning, but he wouldn't take me to where the kid lives in I guess, Fort Lauderdale, and I'd never seen Florida. And I always wanted to go to Florida, you know. But I was going to Vietnam, and we had 30 days to go home. And I figured, you know, I had all this money from card games and sharking. Sharking is loaning money. Nothing unusual. It was done here before I was born, so I learned the ways of it, and I had some money. So I got to the airport, the Atlanta airport, or the Columbus airport, and I figured, you know, I'm going to die. I might as well start doing things that I wanted to do. And I grabbed a flight on, I forgot, it was some rinky-dink airline. I don't even think it's in existence. And I went from Columbus to Miami. And I didn't know Miami Beach was a separate city from Miami. You know, because, you know, and I got off the out at the airport, and they had a bus, and I said, how do you get to Miami Beach? He says, well, you know, they said, oh, you get this bus, you take this bus, you go over a bridge, it's fine. How much is it going to cost? Well, you're in uniform, it won't cost you as much. Fine. So I got to Miami Beach, and I got to the park, and I didn't have a place to stay, but, you know, I figured I could stay on the beach. I'd find something. And I'm sitting on a park bench with all my military gear. I'm dragging it, you know. And I said, yeah, I never saw the ocean before in my life, okay? And I'm sitting there watching the sun go down, sitting on the back of a park bench. I think it was off a street called Collins Avenue. I went back there. It's totally different. You know, all these elderly people, but they weren't that many, you know. And you know, I'm watching, and a woman, a young knockout girl comes up to me, and she says, "Are you a soldier?" Yeah, I'm not a Boy Scout, I'm a soldier. You know? She says, "A man's stalking me." I says, "Where?" She says, "You know, there. He's hiding behind the tree. Would you walk me home?" So I said, "How far do you live, kid?" You know, she says, "Oh, not that far." So he says, "Well, I got a lot of stuff here, you know." So I put it on. She didn't offer to carry anything. I escorted her home. You had to see this house. It was the most gorgeous house I've ever seen in my life. After you know, we never owned anything. I lived, you know, in flats, no heat, etc. I've never seen anything like it. It was a ranch-style house. Beautiful shrubbery. So I get to the house, and you know, they had basketballs, and they had very fancy cars. Who knows what the hell they were? And I says, "Okay, I know how to get back. Take care." She says, "Oh, no. I want you to meet my parents." So I met the brother, younger brother, and you know, the father was shooting baskets. And, he says, "Have you had anything to eat?" I said, No, I'm fine. She says, No, come on in. I said, "Oh, where are you staying?" I says, "Don't worry about it. You know, I'll find a place." I just really felt weird, because I never had, shall I say, rich people being so hospitable. So he says, No, the mother came out. She says, "I'm making dinner. You want something to eat?" And I really didn't have anything to eat. You know, I had left, and I didn't get breakfast at Fort Benning because I was in transfer to make it to the airport. So she comes out with she, you know, sit at the table, and they're asking me all you know, about the military, and you know, come to find out the father's an eye surgeon. Hey, got bucks, you know, wow. And thank you for taking my daughters, so. So, sitting at a table as big as this, they had a big family. And my stuff was at their side door, very fancy place. Just, let me leave it here. And they came out with, you know, started dinner, and she came out with a great big ham. Now, being a Jewish guy and never really eating ham, he says, you know, and the father's going to cut me a slice. So she says, no, 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 no. It's all right. He said, don't you want this ham? I says, I don't eat ham. Well, why don't you eat ham? And, you know, I knew, being Jewish, especially in this town, this was a very racist town, you just don't let them know who you know, who and what you are. So he says, I really don't like ham. And then the mother leans over the table and she says, are you a religious Jew? And I pushed back. I said, look, I'm ready to go. It's okay. I know how you people are. Thinking, you know. And they said, we're Jewish too. And I said, you're Jewish and you're eating this? No, no, no. I said, forget it. I don't know. She's like, make it chicken. I said, no, no. I said, you're Jewish? She said, yeah, we, you know, some Zion. I said, never enjoyed eating ham. It wasn't spicy enough, you know. So, long and short of it, I had dinner there, and I wouldn't stay there. So I went back to the park. And a cop comes up to me, you know, because I'm sitting there, because I was just totally odd, because there's a nightlife. So he says to me, you gonna stay here? Where are you from? This is Buffalo, New York. Cop says to me, you're from Buffalo? Whereabouts? I said, between Riverside and North Buffalo. He says, you're kidding me. I'm from Buffalo too. I said, you're a cop down here? He says, yeah. I couldn't stand the cold weather. It's my, you know, the dryness and all that. Where are you staying? I said, right here until you came by. He says, I'm taking you over to the station and you come home with me. He says, my ex and I came down. You know. So I stayed with him for 4 or 5 days. Yeah, oh boy, I met some movie stars that thought they were movie stars. I met women that were just things that you could only dream about. Okay, and then I came back home to Buffalo to find that my father was in the hospital. He didn't have money to get out, so I gave him the money to get out, and then I had to get a job because I didn't have any money to get to Oakland Army Terminal. So I worked, I got temporary work at UPS at the time, because I went to the New York State unemployment, and I said to him, look, I just bailed my father out of the hospital, I got to get money to go to Oakland, California. So he says, Jesus, that's a shame, kid. He says, but you can unload trucks. I said, but I got to have money. So he called UPS, and it was over on Dingeon Street, and I unloaded trucks till the day I had to leave. And they cut me a check, which I was able to go to M&T Bank in cash, so I'd have money to buy a plane. Because things were different then. And I went from Buffalo to Chicago to San Francisco, and then I took a bus to the Oakland Army Terminal. And when I got to the Oakland Army, oh, let me go back. When I came home, I told my grandmother I was going to the first cab. So she says, where? You know, being the pushy grandmother, but she was a very strong woman. You wouldn't want to screw with the woman. So she was very tough. We used to call her, behind her back, everybody called her Nails. Because you would not, you know, you lied to this woman, you lied the rest of your life. I told a fib once, it was just, she never believed me for the rest of my life. So I had to show her everything. So she takes a few of these orders, and she goes to Delsky's office at the old post office. So I don't know if this has happened. You know, I had when they give you orders, they give you like a phone book full of orders. Tons of them. So I gave my grandmother 3 of them. You know, what the hell? You know, take 3, take 20. I don't give a damn, you know. So I get to the Oakland Army Terminal, and it's like crazy hours in the morning. Maybe it was 11 o'clock. I don't know. Who remembers? So the orderly, we turn your orders in to show them that you're, you know, they got a date that, you know. He says, we've been expecting you. Didn't think much. He said, sit out there. You curt. I sit out there. And I'm hungry, you know. A lieutenant colonel comes in, you know, goes into his office. And says, you know, you could hear, you know, just bring him in. So, this is the colonel wants to see you. What the hell for? You know, I go in, you know, sir, Private Volat reports. He says, I think you're a wise guy. You think you're privileged. You come from privilege. Guys, you know, I don't know what the hell the guy's talking, chewing me out. He says, you got political connections. We're going to take care of you. He says, because your faith is in my hands. He said, you got your order. You know, he's right in my face with the finger. I said, please, you do that to me? I just, you know, the teachers used to do that in Buffalo, and then they used to slap you around. I just, you know. So he says, you got congressional orders. You got orders congressionally changed into my hands. He says, and I'm going to put you in a unit that I want you. You know, he says, I'm putting you in the 173rd. I said, what the hell's the difference? A number? Wise guy, you know, because I'm blank. I don't know what the hell the guy's, you know, he's rattling off. He says, give me those orders for the first cab. Give it to him, you know. And he says, we're going to, and he stand there, and he's got this woman, civilian woman, and he's got these enlisted people running around, and they give me a whole stack of new orders for the 173rd replacement. So I go to the 173rd. What the hell? I'm still going to Vietnam, you know. So, kind of glad it worked out that way. But I didn't know my grandmother had pulled that shit, because I found out afterward while I was in Vietnam. She didn't want me to go to the first cab. So, that was my first.
How did you get over there and fly?
Yeah, I flew.
Where'd you land?
Townsend, which is in Saigon.
Mm-hmm.
And I got put in with a bunch of, so I thought civilians, but they were CID. Now, CID, I said, what the hell is CID? Because I remember there used to be a garbage company, and called CID. I said, you guys in sanitation? You know, they were out in Blaisdell, I guess. You know, and I'm, you know, they're buying and I'm drinking. You know, it's a CID. I said, you know, big company, because you know they got, you know, all the contracts. You know, they're run by the mob. And these guys, what do you mean run by the mob? We're not run by the mob. He says, yeah, CID is run by the mob. You know, the contracts, the Teamster contracts are run by the mob. We're not Teamsters. Well, you got to have something to do with, you know, the mob. You know what CID stands for? Some garbage company. Because I'm thinking Buffalo, you know. No, CID is, you know, some sort of police department that they do internal affairs for the government. I said, you're kidding me. And crack because, it's a shot in the beer, which, you can't get at an NCO club. I said, you guys are secret police? They all pounded the piss out of me because there were 5 guys. No, you can't say that out loud. I says, well, I know it. He says, yeah, but you're not going to know it where you're going. And, that was, and then I got put into, 2 days later, a replacement thing to go to Benoit, to the 173rd, but they had put me on guard duty one of the 3 days while I was there, and mortars were coming in, and they give you an M14, and they give you 3 rounds, and they said, you are accountable for all 3 rounds. Don't shoot unless you have to. And I said, I'm not even going to use these, because I got to be accountable for them. I'm not going to use it. So mortars came in that night, and I thought I saw, sappers, but I was afraid to shoot because what if I missed? I'd have to account and write a report for those 3 rounds. Yeah, let them go. So I got sent to the 173rd Airborne, to the 17th Cav, which was a Palace Guard recon outfit, and we did part of, tunnel rats and road recon. Quite interesting.
You were there for a full year?
No, I didn't make it. 9 months, I got wasted due to a stupid order. And
Do you want to tell us about that?
all right, let me go back. There was an area outside of our base camp called D-Zone. Now, D-Zone, I had arrived, when I had first arrived to the 173rd, they had been in a combat situation in D-Zone called Operation Silver City. And I was a replacement for a fallen soldier. And they wouldn't even let me go to the base camp to drop all my gear off, because I came in to replace the replacement, and they said, get on that helicopter, they're in combat. And I jumped on the helicopter with all my stuff that I had come from Buffalo with out there. And I was, one of those new uniforms that was stiff as cardboard, very heavy. I didn't have the jungle fatigue, so, and I was given, and I was brought to this First Lieutenant Waters. Now, big deal, that's Waters. Who's Waters? Just a guy. He's a lieutenant, and he's yelling at me, screaming at me, you're the replacement, you're gonna, replace so-and-so. I want you to start bagging all these. He says, over there is the VC, over here are fallen comrades. And I was the only one, and I had a Connex. Didn't know what the word Connex was until he says, in the Connex are body bags, and you are going to bag all these bodies up. And you're going to label them. VC, and that was my introduction to combat, okay? And I bagged it, and this uniform was nothing but blood. And the smell of blood, and then I had some help, but I was considered, quote, a cherry. Now, a cherry is a new recruit. You don't have time in country. But I was doing as best as I could do. And bagged, after the first 3, I was just, totally gone. I mean, you know, my appetite was gone. I, you know, thirsty, you know, hot, sweaty, and I did it. And then I was the last to leave. Now the whole outfit that I was replacing had gone back, or gone on the road back to their base camp. I was still out there by myself with 2 other guys and a helicopter, and the helicopter was taking these bodies, and I didn't even have a weapon yet. Okay, and these guys had weapons, and I remember the 3 guys, and they said, you know, if Charlie wants to hit us, they can wipe us out. And we still had lots of bodies, and I didn't get into the base camp. It was pitch black, and got my stuff off the helicopter and walked up to where I was supposed to report into the CQ area, which was an old barn. Threw my bags down there and laid down and went to sleep till the morning. And then I didn't get anything to eat because I didn't know where to go to get something to eat. So I still had my orders in my duffel bag. I still got that duffel bag. And I waited till the first sergeant came in, and I got assigned to, you know, where the tent, where my bunk was. So I was learning my assignment. I'd never, you know, really done anything. There's some crazy things that had happened there, you know, like after, I think it was 4 months there, we were going to be allowed to go to town. We got into formation. The sergeant said, I'm going to let you, you know, there was a major in charge of the unit. And he says, we're going to let you go into town. He says, and I want you in civilian clothes, and I want you to have 3 raincoats. So, terminology had a lot to do with, you know, 3 raincoats. It's the dry season. What the hell you want 3 raincoats for? So, everybody's, you know, gone home. We're going into town, and I'm late because I'm the cherry. I get last pick at the shower. Now, there was only 2 showers for I think 400 guys. You know, so not very much water now. So I'm taking out 3 raincoats, and I fall into formation with 3 raincoats, but nobody else has raincoats. So I got a squad leader, Filipino guy, and he looks at me and he says, come out of formation and come out. So I'm coming out, and I got my 3 raincoats. And I got 3 raincoats. My poncho, my dress, you know, and another raincoat. And I stand before, you know, stand with him, and the first sergeant looks over and he says, what is that? And so Manio says, he says, you told Volat 3 raincoats. So Sergeant Willis says, get up here. So I get up to where he is, and he's standing on a podium, and the major's up there. And he says, get up on the podium. I want everyone to see this. So Sergeant Willis says, first, second, third, you know, squads. What did I tell you guys I wanted? Civilian clothes and 3 raincoats. Pull out your raincoats. They pulled out 3 rubbers out of their pockets. Volat's standing up there with 3 raincoats. And what did you do? I didn't know what you were talking about. It's 3 raincoats. So I pulled them out of my... You ain't going anywhere. You know, and he says, you've got less than a minute to come up with 3 raincoats. And I didn't have any rubbers, you know, so I stayed back. Nobody gave me any. So I got my chance later, but I mean, I also, I think it was like 5.5 months into combat situations, some of the guys had gotten wounded, some of the guys went home, and we got 3 temporary replacements. And we got an assignment in this hostile village. And we got in the helicopters, and there was going to be a road crew going in front-wise, and we were going to go in from the back, you know. And I had to get the, I wasn't given a sergeant's slot, but I had the qualifications of knowing what to do, and I had gotten out in the field, and I was telling these guys their assignments, and kid says, you know, I had to get their names in case they got killed, and where they were from. This one kid said, I'm Steve K. Cook, Jr. He says, you know, what are names? What the hell, you know? There's a million Abe Lincolns. I said, so where are you from? He says, Buffalo, New York. I says, holy. My gym teacher was Steve K. Cook. He says, that's my father. I said, don't lose sight of me. You stay behind me like glue. I get you back alive. And we made friends now. And the day I got wounded severely, I had seen Steve K. Cook at base camp, and I was going for some more information because I screwed things up, you know, and I wanted more clarification for myself because my sergeant doesn't, you know, understand that there's a disability. Well, I didn't know I had a disability, but I had an understanding problem, so I was going to have somebody explain it to me again in a different term, and I had seen him, and next time I saw him was at the Army Hospital at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, because he had, I don't know, not wounded, but he cracked up. I didn't crack up, but I saw the father, and I know how upset he was, you know, that because he was a football coach and everything, and his kid, you know, because he was always looked at as, you know, a solid type guy, and everything he did was, you know, an up and up. He was a volunteer fireman, he was a part-time auxiliary police in Blaisdell, and here his kid had cracked up. So the incident that got me wounded was a bridge was blown up by some sappers, and squad went out there, and Manio, the sergeant, had forgotten his map. He didn't do things right, and I had to go back about a quarter of a mile to get his map. Now, the reason why he sent me is because he hated my guts, and there were many voodoo reasons, because I was Jewish, and I had killed Jesus, and I said, yeah, right, I killed Jesus. Well, I don't know where you come up with this shit. So there was a lot of, you know, so going back, I felt there were snipers in the area, and I got the map where he had left it, and I said to him when I brought back the map, I said, the place is loaded. I can feel it. I can smell them. I said, he had people on the bridge. He wouldn't let, when you go to a blown bridge, you send men out to flank the area for booby traps. You know, you go underneath the bridge and all that. He never did any of that. And as a result, they were there. And they were waiting for us. And they blew a claymore, wiped out half the squad. And wiped out me because I was, you know, and all hell broke loose. And I was down. Glover was down. Haney was down.
How badly wounded were you? Pretty bad?
9 times, yeah. Got it in the head, fingers, arms, legs. And they gave me morphine, but man, I don't know how I lived. I mean, the chopper came, but it was hours. I mean, there was only 2 guys fighting off. I couldn't tell you. Bullets were flying all over the place, you know. They were all around. We were surrounded, you know. So I wound up at 93rd Medevac. And
How long were you in the hospital for?
no idea. I mean, even the hospital was getting mortared. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, we're going to take you to Zama, because my lung kept on collapsing. But when Manio came back to see the rest of the guys, Haney and Glover were dead. Can't think of the other guys' names. Tovar was wounded, Davis was wounded, and Manio came over like, you know, he says, I guess you were right. And I had a trach in me, you know, the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him, you know, because I knew he did it wrong, but I couldn't, you know, it was like, and he turned, looked down at me, he says, well, you ain't gonna tell anybody. Because he court-martialed for not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
And he spit on me. Yeah. What was I gonna do? I'm laying there, you know. So, and he left. And, I got put on another helicopter, and, taken on I think it was a 123, but I was in and out. I was taken as Camp Zama, Japan, and Camp Zama, I don't really remember it, and they said, no, we don't have any more room here. I got to send them back. And they took me to Dover, Delaware from there, but I was freezing. It was freezing on there, you know. In Dover, Delaware, I remember the Air Force drained my lung, and they said, you got to get out of here. You got to go to Walter Reed. Oh, good, you know, I heard about Walter Reed. And then they got me to Walter Reed, and I'm in the back of an ambulance. There were 4 or 5, I don't know, 4 or 5. There were other guys in there. And they said, there's no room here. Take them to Valley Forge. The longest ride. You know, I was in an old Korean War ambulance and was taken to Valley Forge Army Hospital. That's, I mended there. But that's when I saw Keiko.
All right, we're gonna stop here and change films. We're on a tape.
Okay.
Okay, we're rolling again.
Okay, you were at Valley Forge.
Valley Forge Army Hospital. And I saw Steve K. Cook. He said, I know you were here, Alan. He says, my son's here. I said, when did he get wounded? You know, he saw me just before. I said, you know, and I started talking, blurring, because I was, where is he? What ward is he in? No. He stopped me, and his wife was there, and she was tears. He's locked up in the psych ward. And here I'm in a wheelchair. A psych ward. Yeah, he had a nervous breakdown. So, we had to kill him. It had to kill him, man. You know, because the guy played for one of the, I think, the Detroit Lions after college. You know, they had to kill the guy. You know, being, you know, that he was in the service and, you know, went to college and played for the pro ball and then, you know, being a school teacher. You know, it was always that image. And his one son turns out to be weak. That's the way it was, you know. I just, you know, I talked to the kid, and I saw him afterward, after I got out, but he was so strung out on pills that I don't know if it was on anything, you know, street pills, or if it was strictly for medication. But he was, you know, he wasn't the same. I heard afterward that he committed suicide.
Where did you go next?
I was assigned to the 82nd Airborne, 1st 504th, which was an infantry outfit.
Was that down at Bragg?
Down at Fort Bragg. And I started learning more infantry tactics and all that. And guys that were, okay, you know, we were having a ball, and I had a whole bunch of money, and I bought a vehicle. And in North Carolina, the insurance was a hell of a lot cheaper than in New York State. So I insured it with, you know, some southern insurance company. And I had a vehicle. And it was like, wow, you know, I was king of the hill. And when we had inspections, you know, guys were, I says, don't worry, guys, put it all in my car. And I charge it. You know, so I had extra money. You know, use your head. You know. Wasn't, you know, couldn't read, but I had, you know, savvy, you know. So we always passed inspections on Saturday where we could, you know, go out and do things. So we had an inspection, and then they said, we're on alert. Oh, geez, we can't go anywhere. So can't even go out in the parking lot. We're right into the building. So we got orders to go to Pope Air Force Base, which is right next door to Bragg, and we got our weapons, and we're going to for a mission. Nobody knows what's going on. I mean, everybody, you know. So filled our canteens with supposedly water, Loganberry, wine, moonshine, You know, I mean, this is the way the Army went back then. Nobody inspected what was in the canteen. Some guys, you know, but it was all in the car. God forbid the MPs or the officers ever looked into my car, I would have been put away for God only knows what these guys had in it. So, we don't know where we're going. So we finally get orders in the plane that we're going to Detroit. So most of the guys were from Detroit. Hey, we're going on Motown. Hey. What's happening in Detroit? That, you know, you're giving us ammunition. It's a riot. It's a riot. Good. Okay. So we land at this airport in Detroit, and we all get out, formation, you know, and there's no vehicles, and then the National Guard vehicles, and they pick us up, and we get assignments, and there's a headquarters. I don't know where the hell it was. I don't remember. But I remember staying there, and because they had so many guys, and they didn't know the situation of how to put the troops out in the street because they didn't have the vehicles. So we were stationed around the central part of this thing in Detroit. I think it was in City Hall, the command post is what I'm trying to say. And I do remember a general, couldn't remember, and there were other generals there, I don't know if they were National Guard or Reserves, on the phone, but the phone, you gotta remember the phones had a louder speaker, okay? And I'm standing out there in the hallway, glass partitions and all that, and I could hear the other end of the phone. And the person at the other end is swearing like, you know, where the off is this, and where is this, and then, and where, what, quote, is Romney? I don't know who Romney was. Where the fuck is George Romney? A few hours later, George Romney, quote, the governor of Michigan comes in with a cashmere sweater, a golf club, you know, like he just, you know, he's being bothered. And he gets on the phone, and I hear, yes, Mr. President. Yeah, and the president, LBJ, had a mouth like a true sailor. I mean, you know, and I could hear it. And the phone was like this. Romney's holding the phone. Yes, sir, I will. Yes, sir, we will. Yes, sir. So I didn't want to stay there because there was too many VIPs, you know, so I had time to go away, and I said to this warrant officer, who I was friendly with, I said, let me get the hell out of here. Let me go out on the streets. Let me do something. So he says, I'll get you a vehicle, you ride with the National Guard. So I go with the National Guard, and I was only a Spec 4, which is a corporal. And I'm showing them, you know, and we go to this section of town, and we're parked alongside this building, and the building was a liquor store, and the liquor store was these old liquor stores where you, in an old section where you walk in, and they had glass store where you can see the different prices of liquor, and you walk in. It was an old store, and somebody had broken and it was wired because these old glass were wired, and they had broken in. There was a bunch of kids that had broken into the liquor store, and they were going to steal the store. And hey, breaking into a liquor store, my kind of guy. But anyhow, these kids, I don't know, 12, 13, 15, there were just two of us in this Jeep. You know, he was a driver, and I was, you know, so we, you know, we go in there with guns, you know, and the guy was a guy that didn't like blacks. He said, oh, now he outranked me, okay, because I said, I'll handle it. these kids, you're gonna shoot us. No, no. I says, everything that you steal can't pass through this door without you finishing it. So whatever bottle you just took, you finish it, then you can walk through here. You don't want another one, you finish it. I think they had 4 swigs of each, and they were just, you know, and we boarded up the place, you know, and the place was saved. So the guy says, you know, and I let them go. Because they were kids. What was it? Were we going to take these kids, you know, lock them up? I didn't think, you know. Kids are kids. I was a kid. I stole. I'm no, you know. So I stole for survival. So I said, let them go. No. You know, I said, you know, these kids were drunk. I mean, I said, they're not going to hurt anybody. They can't even stand up straight after, you know, and we only lost maybe 4 or 5 bottles, okay? I says, I'll finish the rest of this. So I put the stuff in, no, you can't, you're stealing. I said, board up we'll have them board up the window, and we'll finish this. I mean, so the guy didn't want me with him anymore. So I got transferred to the airport to watch the weather station. Okay. So I go to the airport. They didn't give me a vehicle. I'm at the airport, and KLM Airlines is there. So I'm hanging around. Now, no flights are going out. So these stewardesses are there, and they said, what are you supposed to be doing here? I said, I'm supposed to be guarding the weather station. I don't know where it is. And if, you know, there's nobody to tell me. And then they said, well, if you're not doing anything, why don't you come to our motel room? So I stayed there till after the riot was over. I don't have to draw you any pictures. But it was a very sociable event, okay? And then we packed up all our stuff and we went back to Fort Bragg. So I don't know exactly what went on during the riot, because I just played music for the 7 or 8 days that I was there. I was enchanted. I had good food, good entertainment. I never did that before in my life, but it really happens. So, you know, okay. So I get back to Fort Bragg, and everybody's talking about the riot, blah, blah, and they said, well, we got special assignments that this outfit has been given. We're going to get some of the guys to go to West Point or the Citadel. I said, oh, West Point, wow. I always wanted, because they used to have a show called West Point. And I was always impressed with it, you know, or Annapolis, you know. I didn't get the assignment to go. Yeah. So the sergeant says to me, he says, hey, Volat, you got a car, don't you? I says, yeah. He says, I want you to take 6 guys and yourself to the Citadel. What's the Citadel? It's in South Carolina. It's just like West Point. Oh, yeah. You're going to be with them. You're going to be the cadre to teach these guys. Oh, great. You know, you make your own schedule. You go there. Great. He says, you drive them down there. Let us know the mileage. We'll pay you, you know. So, you know, we're all happy. We go out that night. Whatever we did. And we all load up the vehicle, and I get a map. Where the hell is the Citadel? Oh, it's, you know, the Citadel. So I get a map off of 95, and we go down to the Citadel. We get into the Citadel, and, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I was kind of leery, because the guys that they gave me to go to the Citadel were the guys I would never associate with. Why wouldn't I associate? Because they were the Johnny Rebs of the unit. they'd be nice to your face, but they wouldn't associate with the black guys. And when they got alone, it was the hillbilly music, and they weren't like Northerners. Yeah, all right, you get with in the military, you go with, you know, with what is there. So we meet the colonel in charge of the Citadel. We meet the ROTC cadets. You know, okay, and I get a list of guys that I'm supposed to check, you know, their equipment, and I'm going to be an instructor for these guys. All right, so where's the time? What was the first thing? You know, where's the movies? You know, so we get a schedule, and the first day was, you know, equipment for these ROTC cadets, getting them acclimated to our way of doing things, but in a laid-back way. And I don't remember if it was lunch or dinner. I was supposed to check these guys for the next, we were going to take them on some sort of military maneuver. I really don't remember what it was, because what happened next, I will remember. So I said, I'm going to check these guys, you know, because they're hard to understand, these Southern, you know, when they, you know. So I get up to the bay where I'm supposed to check these guys, and I walk in, and these guys are partying. But they're not partying like we party at the 80, you know. They got swastikas, and they got Hitler, and they got, you know, and they're walking around in some of these German uniforms, you know, and they're yelling, "You look Jewish." And I'm saying, you know, I walked in, because the doors are like this, you know, they're big doors, and I walked in, and I'm standing there, my mouth dropped to the floor. Hey, come on in, you know, have a drink. They had a pitcher. It was supposed to be I don't know what that was, some fruit juice or something like that. Yeah, here, have a pitcher, you know, have some, you know, or, you know. And they're marching goose step. And I just went nuts. I didn't know what to do first. And I said, "Is this a joke?" No. You know, and plus the KKK, you know. You know, Ku Klux Klan. And not one of them, at the Citadel, there was not a black to be found except to pick up the garbage. I went nuts. I took that picture, and I went crazy. I started ripping they had KKK, I went crazy. I started beating on those guys. And there must have been 18, 19 of them. I went absolutely, I busted a nose on one guy. I started kicking. I said, "You son," you know, thinking that this is like West Point and it's government funded and all that. And I went crazy.
These were cadets.
These were ROTC cadets, or whatever cadets, you know. I went nuts, and I busted, you know, these people, we fought against these people. Why are you looking at, and, you know, and I hated the Klan, because they had previously just had a run-in with the Klan, you know. And prior to the Detroit riot, there was an incident. I went to Raleigh to watch my brother play football, and we came back, but I had free tickets, and I went with a bunch of black guys with this car, and it crapped out in the back roads, and we didn't know what to do. And going back to this situation, and we saw, you know, we're walking, because there was no, you know, interstates and all that, and then we were walking, and then I saw some help, and they were burning crosses. And the black guys that were with me that loved football ran into the woods, and I walked in there. I said, "Hey, can you guys help me?" And I was absolutely shaking because, you know, and they helped fix my car. They gave me some gas and all that, you know. And then these black guys came and helped me. You know, I drove off, but I drove off the other way and then came back. All right, going back to the situation at the Citadel, I went crazy, and the colonel, you know, I said, "You get this shit, you know, I don't want one thing of this thing, I want this barracks clean." Well, they reported to the colonel, and the colonel called me on the carpet that night. He said, "We don't think you belong here, and we want you out of here in an hour. Take your stuff and get out. Go back. You got orders to go back to Fort Bragg." Got my stuff, and I left. Now all these guys that I had taken down there were stranded without a car. But I didn't care. I wasn't, you know, I mean, I started. So I got back to Fort Bragg, and they said, "Well, you can't stay here. We're going to get your orders. You got to, you know, go someplace else. We don't want you to say anything to anybody of what had happened. So we'll give you a 30-day leave if you keep your mouth shut for your next assignment." So it's fine. Yeah. As long as I get the leave. So I got orders for the Panama Canal zone. So, geez, that's got to be fun. That's great, you know. So I came back to Buffalo with this car, and I said, I called, I said, "I wonder if I could drive down there." So I met a guy, he says, "Yeah, take a bunch of tires. And, there's a Pan Am Expressway." I said, "Ah, but take a weapon with you, but hide it when you go through Mexico." He says, "Ah, all right, I don't own a weapon." So knowing the people I had, they gave me one. They gave me an Ithaca shotgun over and under. And they fixed a place in the car. So I go through Brownsville, you know, I'm driving, and I go through Central America, but, you know, things happen there, and I finally got to Panama with this car. They didn't believe me when I reported in. I drove all the way. Most interesting, and I got pictures, I got documents. I drove. When I was going through each country, Gringo, Americano, yeah, I got orders, and go. But it was interesting. It was a wild adventure, and I drove all the way. But some of the road washed away, and it was like something, you know. It was jungle. It was like Vietnam. It was and high up in the mountains. The car started running hot. You know, it was a Dodge Dart, standard shift, no air conditioning. So I made it to Panama with the 508 at Fort Colby, and it was the most interesting assignment I got, because things were jumping. Things were really jumping down there. And it was racist, but it wasn't racist because there were Hispanics there that were dark, light, and I got along with them. I mean, you know, I was an easy guy. I can get along with anybody, you know. Just don't be an idiot, you know. Be honest, don't, you know. And as far as the Ku Klux Klan type thing, you know, wasn't down there. There was other type of, you know, animosity, but it was really interesting.
How long were you there?
Till I got in trouble with a crazy assignment.
Okay.
Okay, very crazy assignment. Had two crazy assignments. They were taking the guys. There was a place in Panama called Rio, and we did some training there, and everything was secret. This and secret. Oh, don't you know? But I didn't want to be part of the secret. I wanted to go to town all the time, and you know, if I had a car, I was king shit. I was always fixing the thing. You know, because you got to understand, it gets very hot there, and the hoses, you know. But I didn't have the fancy cars that they have now. It was just a Dodge, two-door standard shift Dodge Dart, and I could fix it slant six. Didn't need too much, you know. Change the oil enough, or you put in a heavy gluey oil, and, you know, the thing ran. The transmission was, I had an extra one. I had an extra one in the trunk. I had extra tires. I looked like,
Beverly Hillbillies.
well, an Okie going to California. I had, you know, a bunch of tires. I had, you know, I had water in case it blew up. I had to fix the radiator. You know, I had tools from other people's estates. Okay, I had two crazy assignments that I didn't, you know. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't have the qualifications. I never had the qualifications. I was always the guy, oh, we need one more man. Is there anybody around? Hey, Corporal, come here. That's the way it was all my life. I was just standing, and you know, it was all, you got to remember, you know, most of your business in your home is done probably in your bedroom or in your kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? I was always in the kitchen, in the mess hall, because that's where the coffee was, that's where the food was, you know, and I was a starving kid. So, hey, do you have an assignment? You know, no, you know, I'm part of the, well, I'm going to talk to the sergeant, we're going to take you. So, the first crazy assignment was to go at Rodman Naval Station, report to the Navy. Report to the Navy. So I drive over with a bunch of guys in my car, charge them all the way. But anyhow, report to Naval Station, and they said, this is an LST. This is where you're assigned, you know, name of the ship, you know. So I'm going up, we're going up, and I'm the first guy going up. And there's a guy halfway at the top of the ship, and he said, you know, who are you? I said, Volat, from the 508th at Fort Colby. And he says, oh yeah, okay. He says, stop. And the other, you know, I got all my stuff. Stop. What? Going arrested? No. Do it right. This is what do you mean, do it right? You got my name there. What do you mean, do it right? What are you talking about? Go back down and do it right. So the guy's behind me. See if they're, you know, what the fuck's going, you know, throw that son of a bitch off of that, you know. So we go back down, and I go, hello, what's doing it right? Came back up, I did the same thing. He said, now go back down and do it again. So I don't remember who, Spanish, you know, I'm from New York City. What are you talking about? Do it right. He said, you're assigned to the Navy. You report. So he goes, I'm a draftee. You tell me what you want. You speak English. You know, he's a Spanish guy and he's broken. What the fuck is report? You salute me. You like you're reporting. You're reporting to an officer. Quote, what the fuck rank are you anyhow? He says, you know, so I says, whatever, you know, which hand, the right or the left? I mean, this is it, because we're hungry, it's hot. I don't, we report and we walk up, geez, you know, as we walk up, Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell is this Navy anyhow? What? So, the ship is loaded with all sorts of crap. We don't know what our assignment is, because they'll give it to us out at sea. Jesus Christ, how stupid, you know. Got radios, got this, that. So they give us a place to bunk on these jeeps. We didn't no cots or nothing. We were sleeping on the vehicles. And they, you know, they said, this is where you are. Well, they go out to sea into the Pacific, and that's you know, it's no luxury liner. It's a flat boat, and you just every wave, and you know. So I went topside, and I never saw it because I was never really on the ocean, and they had these fish, small fish, just absolutely flying onto the deck. And it's so fishy, you know, and that son of a bitch thing bit the shit out of me, you know, and guys were seasick, throwing up, and I was eating crackers like crazy, you know. I wasn't going to throw up in front of anybody, you know. I was regurgitating everything. So they take us out in the middle of nowhere, you know, some nights, and I don't know, it's dusk, it's going down. And they give us our assignment that we're being put in this raft, and we're going to paddle in. We're going to deflate the raft, bury it, and they give us this assignment to go up on this mountain, and you will meet another force. They dropped us off, and oh yeah, and radio silence. So they put down this out in the middle of the ocean. Don't you know? You know, they point us to where the land is. So we get in this thing, and the water just comes in and just scoops us out, and we're paddling and paddling, and we're going past the ship. And the ship puts the door up and sails away. Goes to sea. And I'm going, what the fuck is this? This must be when the tide's going out, and so are we. Now they gave us an hour and a half to paddle in. 12 hours later, 12, maybe 13, the people are out washing clothes. We make it to shore. We paddle in, tired, exhausted. And the people, what the, you know, in Spanish, I don't know what the, they said, you know, deflate the boat. Fuck it, let it go. You know, and then we had this hike. By the time we got up to where the mountain, there were special forces guys. Where the hell are you? You know, they're chewing us out. These are sergeants, officers. Funky, you know, the equipment there. You tell them, you know, and they don't say anything. They walk away, like we've got cooties to play. They leave us, you know. So, what we were carrying was C4 and all the stuff to burn. And they said, you're going to be burning poppy fields.
Where were you?
I didn't know. I was in Colombia. And this is all land by the Catholic, owned by the Catholic Church. He says, you're shitting me. He says, you're kidding me. You know, I said, oh, you know, and I was kidding the guys because they were all, oh, good Catholic boys. Now we're going to burn your shit, you know. So we burned it. I got pretty high from, I mean, it was acres and acres, you know. So we go back to, and they send, we go back to where there's a village and this port, and we're on this dock. and they come with a motorboat. I said, why the fuck didn't they come with give us a motorboat to begin with? You know, I mean, they gave us paddles, and I said, so this one officer says to me, what did you do with the boat? I said, we were too fucking tired to do anything. We just let it go back. You know, I gave it to a villager for a couple of bucks. I didn't tell them, you know, we're out. So they were mad because it had, you know, U.S. Navy on it. Fuck them. So we get back to Rodman Naval Station. We get back, I get in the car, and this is, I'm never doing another sign. I want to get out of the Army. Fuck this shit. And you get put on guard duty, you get put on, you know, clean this, clean that, but they had Santan Indians, you know. So they come up with another, I met Howard, there was an Air Force base there. And I'm in the tower drinking with a bunch of guys in the tower. And some guys come in, civilian clothes, and they said, you better go back to your post. They're calling you. So I go back to the barracks, and everybody's, what guys are there, we got a special assignment for a bunch of you guys. You know, I didn't have very much gas in the car, and you know, I had my money stashed, and I said, oh Jesus, here we go again. So they take us to the airport, full combat gear again. I go, oh man, you know, I'm short. I want to get the fuck out of this Army. I don't want any part of this crap. And they said the Dominican Republic Don Rep is starting up again. They're getting guns smuggled in. We're going to take you there as a temporary force, and you're going to be working with the Navy. And I just said, oh, no, not again. So we wind up in the Dominican Republic. We flew in, thank God. And we were with Dominican militia, or whatever, a bunch of ragtag guys. And they said that the arms are coming in by fishing boats, and they're going to split us up, and we're going to have a central radio group by the beach in the woods, and a bunch of the guys are going out on rubber dinghies. And I said, oh fuck, I know I'm going to get out of the boat. Just, you know, and I just thought to myself, I need the bathroom. I'm just going to disappear for a while, which was another smart move on my part. I had to go to the bathroom. And I always, needed the bathroom. So they had 4 guys that were loaded with machine guns, and they were going to pull watches in certain spots out in the water. And at dusk, you couldn't see out in the water. It was black. You couldn't, you're lucky to find your zipper. And these guys went out, and I managed to pull night watch on the radio with another guy. It was just the 2 of us. And we were going to man the radios, Radio 1, and we got our information. I was, man, this is good. No effort. I'm reading, comic books, sex books, whatever. And I'm hidden. And then, I knew these guys out in the water because they were all Army guys, no Marines. So why does the Navy always stick us with shit jobs when they got their own force? Give it to the Marines. So I'm out there, guys radio in, first radio check, second radio check, okay. So I go to sleep, and then my partner wakes me up. It's my watch, so I had maybe from like 2 o'clock to 7 in the morning. So I'm down in this hole, and you can't see me, man, in the radio. After I did a radio check, boat 2 opens up with everything they had, weapons, everything, screaming, yelling, and then they all open up. And I remember Shorter, who was the sergeant, out in the boat, yelling, "It's up in the sky now, it's up in the sky." It came out of the water. They opened up. And they said, "It's flying at you." I'm fucking, and all, "Do you see this?" And everybody's talking. I don't know what's going on. What? And I'm on the radio, and so many people on the radio, it's just utter chaos. Apparently, something came out of the water, white, and Pratt opened up on it, and the bullets just flew off of the thing. I didn't see this, okay? They all opened up on it. It was just, and it, gone, okay? And they're screaming and yelling, and, and I had another radio, and I called, for help, and the officer came, and then, "Get in here, I want a full report," and then, we got stuck on the beach, isolated, and and we got isolated to the point where nobody could elaborate anybody else's story. Okay, it was, but I had talked to these guys. They said, "Fucking thing was huge. It just came out of nowhere. No sound, nothing." And they opened up on it. The bullets just flying off of this thing. It was huge. Didn't make a ripple in the wave. It's gotta be shitting me. So we got taken back to Panama, and I got, I said, "I didn't see anything. I heard on the radio, blah, blah, blah." Well, they said, "You can't stay here. We gotta, we're gonna send you, we got another assignment." I said, "I got a car here. I can't go anywhere, you gotta give me." So I sold it to a civilian. I know the guy who was CIA. I made a nice buck off the car because there were no American cars down there.
We've got about 20 minutes.
Okay, so I sold the thing, and we all got taken from Panama to Vietnam. And
That's how you ended up with the 101st?
that's how I ended up with the 101st. And I was up in Wayne
Mm-hmm.
with the 17th Cav, and then I got hit again.
Now, what was the date that you went over the second time, if you recall?
No, because my folder never followed me. I mean, it took forever because, they had to dispose of me from this last incident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because everybody, but the thing was that the Army guys got sent to the same spot I did, and then I learned about what this thing was, because everybody was afraid to talk to one another, because we were told that if you said anything, you'd be court-martialed and thrown
So
in
what
the
was
level.
it?
Your own imagination. Came out of the water and flew up in the sky. It wasn't a B-17.
So once you went to Vietnam, ended up with the 101st, were you with an infantry unit?
No, I went to a cavalry outfit.
Okay.
I was in air rifle, which was a recon outfit up in the Highlands, which,
Second to the 17th, yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
A troop,
Me too, okay.
okay? I have the orders to show.
Mm-hmm.
And I got hit again, twice. So that was a, quote, as they say, a clusterfucker. Okay, got 2 Purple Hearts.
Were you hit with rifle or shrapnel?
Shrapnel. I was relieving myself again, and I was reaching for some homemade, I had gotten some a real soft roll of toilet paper. And that's when I got it in the back and the buttocks.
Hmm.
So, and then I was, I ETS'd, I managed to not get killed, and went back to Oakland, Army Terminal, and started a crazy situation. So,
Well, you went into the National Guard after you left?
yeah. The Army kept on sending you, or the military, where are you now? And I'm figuring because of this thing that happened,
Mm-hmm.
fuck you, I ain't letting you know shit. You want me? Come and get me. They came and got me. Because I figured they were after me for parking tickets. Because I lived down the street. So they came and they said, you haven't filled out this form. We're placing you in an outfit. And I said, whatever, do whatever you want. If I show up, I'm there. Well, you get called back, yeah. So, it was a rainy, cold day, November and all that, and I see these guys in front of my house running, airborne, and I go out, and I'm running with them to find out. I said, what are you guys, Army? Yeah. Airborne, Special Forces. I says, they got a Special Forces outfit here? So the guy says, yeah, over at the Dullivan Avenue Army. If you want to run with us, you can join. So I was really floundering after coming back. There was another horrendous situation upon me coming back into Buffalo. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I joined the 19th Special Forces and wound up doing interesting things, like I was in the attic of riot. And
What did you do there?
at the riot, well, we were the first National Guard outfit in, and I stayed there, a week looking for weapons and all that, and I saw quite a bit. I was in there guarding the troops after the state police and the Genesee police came in. We were right behind them. And in Attica, never been in the place, never really, I've done things wrong, but I've really never been in Attica. I was on what they call Times Square, which is the cross, guarding. And we were there. And let me backtrack. My brother-in-law is an Erie County, or retired Erie County police officer, and I knew some of the other Erie County police officers through my brother-in-law. And one of the police officers, came across me. His name was Phil Hinman. And I said to Phil, Phil, when you see my brother-in-law, let me borrow some money. I don't have any money. $5, $10, $15. Let me. So I see Phil later, and I'm still guarding all these guys. And Phil comes back, he says, I talked to your brother-in-law. He's got one thing to tell you. I said, what's that, Phil? He says, where are you going to spend it? I said, that cheap son of a bitch. So I was there penniless, but probably some of the prisoners had more, but they were stripped and they were put in cells. It was just, I was there for a week and a half. I really don't remember, but the state paid.
How long did you stay with the National Guard?
Until my wife gave me direct orders to get the hell out. It was either that or, divorce. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting because there was another situation where this gentleman jumped on an airplane and extorted some money and then jumped out. And,
B.B. Cooper?
yeah, that was the guy. I
In
didn't.
Washington, state of Washington?
Yeah, yeah. So they sent, and he, you know, he jumped out at night.
Yes.
So they had us, the whole unit, for summer camp. 19 Special Forces, you know. Now these guys were from Syracuse, they were from West Virginia, they were from New York City. They had the whole unit for the 2 weeks summer camp jump into this area in Washington with no equipment except entrenching tools. I found it strange. And they gave us grid squares that we were broken up to look for this money. And then we were brought back, and the Treasury agents said, you know, I mean, you know, did you find it? Now we did have canteens, but, you know, we loaded up with wine and liquor. I mean, you know, we were just having it was a fun time. Yeah, you think I'm going to find, what is it, I don't know how many millions of dollars, and I'm going to give it back to you? Right, sure. I mean, I'm from Buffalo, New York. Things are a little tough here, you know? And I got 6 kids. Yeah, I'm going to give you, you know. So they did a strip search before we could get on the plane, if we had any maps or anything. And I told my wife, she said, that's it, you're out. Yeah, I mean, because what are we looking for again? Because we were cracked. I mean, we're going up these hills, going up, going side. You know, we got this grid square. I don't know. We couldn't even see the grid square on the map anymore because we were so juiced up. But you know, we kept on saying, yeah, you know, how much do you make? What is it? You know, 7,000, and you're going to give 3 million back to who? But
And they never found it, I guess.
who knows? You know, it was just. I mean, we had a good time. My wife was, you know, she says, I'm here with these kids, and you're out drinking out in the boonies, and yelling and screaming. It was okay, but that was my, you know, second or third. No, I did one more summer camp when I crashed in Provo, Utah, into a boulder. We jumped. That was my, yeah, that's right. My wife said, you're done, you know. I said, you know, and I lied. I lied, and I said, well, I got one more summer camp, which is kind of the truth, but I kind of extended it. And I jumped into Provo, Utah, and you're supposed to oscillate 360 degrees, check your canopy and all that, and I jumped out and I started taking pictures because it was just the most magnificent thing. I've never been in the desert. You know, hey, I'm from Buffalo. You know, going to North Tonawanda was an experience because I had no money. Going to Blaisdell was, you know, just as, you know, you had to have money. So I jumped out and I was taking beautiful pictures and all that, and there were animals running, and you know, and I put the camera back and I oscillate around and I go, holy shit, and I go, just like this cartoon coyote guy, right into this mountain. I smashed into this mountain, I broke my kneecap, and I fell down, you know, parachute and all, and I said, oh man, am I hurting? So I started drinking out of my canteens to ooze the pain. When they finally got me, they said, where does it hurt? I said, I really can't tell you. Because I had 3 canteens of homemade hooch. I could have been busted and broken down to a private so many times, but I was a sergeant. They let me go. They didn't sniff the canteens, but yeah, you know.
Once you got out, what type of work did you do?
I was a postman. I was, you know, in this area,
Mhm.
delivered. And I did it till my disabilities were bothering me enough to where the post office, you got to understand the way the post office operates. Each station is allocated a certain amount of money, and supervisors, if they don't go over the money, get the bonus. And if you are a disabled person and your disabilities cause you, let's say they give you a job for 8 hours, and let's say it takes you 8.5 hours, you know, you're stealing overtime. So I was, after 21.5 years, I was fired for stealing overtime because of all my disabilities.
Did you get a retirement though?
No, I got nothing. They fired 187 of us for stealing overtime. And they got away with it, unauthorized overtime, and you could never call in, there was only one phone number, but that's a situation, and the lawyer we hired was incompetent, and we all lost our pensions. So if it wasn't for my wife, thank God, and
You have 9 children, you said?
6
6, okay, 6.
You get a disability from the service
from the
because of your
VA,
injuries?
from the VA, and from my rents, and that's all I live on. I get no Social Security because I never paid into it. And, yeah. But that's the way it's the way it is. The laws are written, especially in this state, poorly. And in fact, you know, in New York State, lawyers don't have to have liability insurance. Are you aware of that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. This state and Mississippi, the only states in the union. Figure that how intelligent that is. We're supposed to be, you know, one of the prime states. There were other things that had happened in the service that were just as nuts. But that's, you know, that's my story, and I got the proof to you know.
Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Okay.
What, do you have any...
Did you have any
things that you could
photographs?
copy or photographs or anything?
Is this
Yeah.
okay?
If you've got a photograph, you know, I can zoom in on it.
A photograph.
He's probably got a ton of them.
I got tons of. All right, this is one. This is at Attica, but you know.
Are you pictured in that?
No.
Okay.
I got you know my basic training picture, my advanced infantry picture. I took pictures all the time, and then in Vietnam, and in Panama. You're right. In fact, I have. This is where I was. The Red Devils, 508. Maybe I got. This is the Canal Zone. Maybe I got a picture of the car. What a car! I'll tell you. This is in Vietnam. I have a picture. It was a wild car. It really took me everywhere. I mean, there's a picture of the car with my brother in it, you know. Yeah, I gotta have. This is.
Is this you in Vietnam?
This is my first tour. This is.
Okay, hold on. Okay, got it.
And you know. When I was in the Dominican Republic, we weren't allowed any pictures or otherwise I would have.
Okay. Why don't you turn the camera off then?
Okay.